Welcome back, Yard Talk. Y'all already know we here with another one. Y'all remember that Jack the Rhymer? Well, this is how we found him. This is how we found Jack the Rhymer. And I feel what it's a big Jack the Rhymer was, but it clicked on who Jack the Rhymer was. Like, oh, that guy. But this is the guy that I found Jack the Rhymer. K motherfucking Fitz. Feel me? You dig me? Yeah. It's me, Big T. Y'all already know the drill. We back with another one in Yard Talk family. It's still a movie no matter how long. You feel me? It's still a motherfucking movie, and I love it. So starting off, what's the story behind your artist name?
KFitz. My real name is Kyle Fitzpatrick, so it's literally just me. It's just
Yeah.
who I am. I've been called KFitz like my whole life. Like all my friends call me KFitz. Everybody's always called me that. So when to come up with a artist name, it was really easy.
Okay. Yeah. So for those who don't know, where you coming from?
So I grew up in Westchester, Pennsylvania. I live in Philly now. Um, so I just grew up outside Philly, basically in the suburbs. But yeah, now I'm living in the city. So I've been in the city since 2019. So like April of 2019. So like basically almost 5 years now. Um, so I've kind of immersed myself in the Philly hip hop scene with Jack and some other folks. Like I don't know if you heard of Chron 11. He's
Yeah.
on the Earl Interlude track
Yeah.
too. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
so all
I
those
mean,
dudes.
I'm about to
Yeah,
be basically heading out that way here soon. I'm literally like I got the whole bed frame all cleaned up, all my shoes out. I'm moving. So I will be moving between Trenton, somewhere in the area between Trenton and Philly. Um,
okay. Where
so
you at right now?
Jersey City. I'm not from here. I'm born and raised in
Oh, okay.
Texas.
Oh, okay. So how'd you end up? How'd you end up in Jersey City?
So I've been up here about almost 4 years. Do I like it? Let's just say ain't no place like home. Um, but my mom moved up here early 2020. She had the option of going to California. She hates California. I have no clue why. I would love to go out there. The wonderful weather. I don't give a fuck about
Yeah,
the earthquakes.
yeah,
I love the weather. You feel me? But
for sure.
she always wanted to move up here. So for her job, she moved over here. She was given the option of out there or over here. So this is where she came. But
Okay.
rent's getting too
Well, you got
expensive, so we
seasons
got to
out
do.
here. Apparently there's no seasons out there. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's something you like or not,
I
but you
just,
get
I
to
mean, I
experience.
like seasons sometimes, but I just love the wonderful weather. Like it's sunny, but it's not too hot, but it's not too cold. It's just right.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like summer all year round, which is nice. I mean, summer I think is
I wouldn't even say
the best
summer. It
season.
feels like spring and fall out there all the time.
True, true. Yeah, I've only actually ever been out there like once, so I'm not super hip to it.
I mean, I wouldn't know though. I haven't been out there myself. I just keep in touch with the weather out there.
Yeah.
But definitely. So what's your startup journey like? Like, what did you have to do? Like, did you get your own equipment? Did you know somebody that had the equipment? Did you go to studio to studio? What was that like?
So I started making music in probably 2012 or 2011. Um, and back then I was living in the suburbs, but I actually met someone that I worked with at a Carrabba's, which is super random, and they had a studio in the city, and so my first experience of like recording was all in this like same studio in Philly when I was mad young. Like I was like 16 probably, and I was like paying for studio time, spending a ton of money just to record myself. Um, and I did that for probably like 4 years, I'd say. And then my next experience with recording was when I was in college. I actually met I met Austin Fox in college. He's the last person on Pearl Interlude. He's the last verse, and he lives in Virginia. But I met him because I went to Virginia Tech for college, so I met him at Virginia Tech. We pledged the same fraternity together, um, and one of our fraternity brothers, like he was audio. He was in school for audio engineering, like that was his major, and so he had access to like the school studio. And so it went from paying for studio time to being able to just book the studio for free through through the college, which was sick. Um, and we were able to record for free. And then once I graduated, then I was like, okay, how am I going to record now? So at first, I was taking trips to Virginia from PA to record at Austin Fox's crib because he had the whole setup. Um, and so I saw the setup he had, and I also like had seen some other setups, like people with home studio type setups in Philly. And so I just finally decided to buy my own. But it took a lot of spending money at random studios before I realized, like, oh, I could literally just cop this shit myself and be good, you know. Um, so it definitely was a. I feel like that was a long-winded answer, but yeah.
Yeah, I feel it. I love it. I love the story. So, what would you say is some of your inspirations between artists and family and friends?
I would say when it comes to artists, I'd say, I mean, I feel like it's probably evident in like my style of music, but like my biggest inspiration is probably Mac Miller.
Rest in peace.
And then I'd say, yeah, R.I.P. for sure. And then I'd say J. Cole is number two. And then number three, I typically would say Kendrick. Either Kendrick or Eminem, maybe.
Most definitely.
And then I really love West Side Boogie too. He's one of my favorite new artists. I've been seeing the shit you were saying about Kendrick.
On my story. So I was gonna get to that. You know what? I'm gonna state my opinion in that situation. First of all, Drake, sit your little ass down because you really ain't gonna do shit. Second of all, Drake, don't. I feel like this is gonna go two ways when it involves J. Cole. I feel like this is going two ways. J. Cole will not respond, or if he does respond, he's only going to defend himself and not Drake. So basically, he's gonna make it an every man for himself situation. And Drake's gonna look at him. Drake's gonna look at Cole like, bro, I thought we were homies. It's the game, bro. It's the game. Feel me?
Yeah. I was surprised. I mean, it seemed like all the bars were directed at Drake. Like there was like maybe one or two bars directed at J. Cole, and it was like kind of a stretch to like to be like, okay, I think this is about J. Cole. I mean, just because he was on that song.
Yeah.
But like I remember back when Control came out, and Kendrick went at like everybody.
The whole game.
And one of them was J. Cole, and I was actually just listening to. I've been listening to that J. Cole response because he responded on that song on the TKO remix, like that Justin Timberlake song, which was like a super strange way to respond, but like he responded on that, and I remember him talking about like how he was kind of like. I guess as much as you could be upset for being mentioned, it's like also kind of flattering, you know, because then it's like shedding light on those artists, you know, like any promo I feel like is good promo, even the negatives.
Publicity is good publicity, simple as that.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I mean, I don't know, the one person that I think is like strange to be involved is J. Cole. And also, isn't Future like boys with Drake? Like he just let Kendrick do that?
They got a weird situation. Him and Drake got a weird situation. But first of all, they're both extra hoes. We both know that. But not only that, So I've only heard one thing. I don't really pay attention to their relationship. I mean, I listen to their music, but I'm not heavy into the music in situations.
Yeah.
But one thing I've been told is there's apparently a beef over females, and I just know how Future is, and he's the type of dude that's like, he don't give a fuck about no female.
Yeah.
But Drake, he gives off like he's gonna start some shit over a female. So
Yeah, I
feel
could
like
see
that's
that.
more of like a one-sided thing.
Yeah, I could see that. Cause yeah, I was wondering that, like, cause I was listening to that song today. I was like, wait a sec, like, Future, I guess, co-signed it, you know, like, so he obviously like isn't that tight with Drake, you know,
Right.
like,
Right. Nah, that's weird, but I mean, I'm here for it. All of us artists are here for it, you know, to see where this goes. You know.
yeah, no, I think it'd be interesting to see. I don't like, I don't expect Drake to respond, but then again, like I feel like he probably will, like just to like capitalize off the moment, you know,
Yeah.
because he's definitely big on like capitalizing on like any moment where he is involved, like brought up, he's gonna probably say something, you know, like at least from what I've seen, you know, like any beef, he's immediately making a diss track, you know, like every time. So,
But Drake,
if I
you
had
gotta
to guess,
understand this isn't Meek Mill. You
Yeah.
got away with that Meek Mill,
No.
but this is Kendrick we're talking about. Chill out.
yeah, no, I don't know. I think it'd be wise for him to not
You know,
respond.
That's always been my thing about diss tracks. Like, to diss someone, you gotta have something on them. Drake ain't nobody got nothing on Kendrick. He be so like, you know, in the dark and doing his thing. Like, he be so
Yeah.
ducked off and whatnot. So it's like, what can you say bad about Kendrick? Not too much.
Yeah,
But Drake,
and I was gonna say
all your shit's
same
on the
with,
media,
like,
my guy.
yeah, he's all over that shit. So there's a lot to say, and that's I guess the same thing with J. Cole. Like he's a super low key dude, so it's like it makes sense why like Kendrick didn't really mention him much,
Yeah.
you know, because there's not really much to say. And plus, I thought they were homies. Like if I had to guess, they probably still are. And I feel like it's probably just like this.
I
All right,
think
let's get
with
people
Drake,
talking.
it's like, Drake, you may be having a lot of good fame, but don't get carried away. But to Cole, you know, for Kendrick's response to Cole is like, we're still homies, but I'm still hungry too. I'm still gonna make sure I do what I do in my rap game. You know, it's a mutual understanding between Kendrick and Cole. But Drake, it's like, don't get carried away with yourself, my boy.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Like, yeah, but I'm here for it, definitely. Man, talking about some of your projects and songs, what's been the song you felt like you put the most emotion behind? Like whether it's a good emotion or bad emotion, what's that song?
So, I mean, if you want to hear like my most emotional song, it's also probably my shortest song I've ever made. It's the outro on my project. I basically wrote that one about my dad, and my dad actually passed away in 2008 when I was like 12 years old. So it's been a long time, but it's still like I still think about him like damn near every day. So
Right.
that song, it's funny. My friend told me, he was like, "This song's like too sad. Like you can't put it out." Like that's literally what my boy said. And I was like, I mean, I feel like then I have to put it out. You know, like I want other people that have gone through like the loss of a parent to have music that they can relate to. You know, but it would be a close tie between that and my other song from the same album, Balance. Couple Things Left. That one was definitely like I was like 3 verses, and it's all just like venting about just life shit and trying to maintain like a balance in my life, but also at the same time I was definitely talking a lot about this relationship that I was in 2020 and how it like didn't really go the way I had planned for it to
Right.
go. So it depends on the topic, but like I'd say most emotional, probably the one about my dad, but also pretty emotional when it came to talking about that girl also on A Couple Things Left.
Definitely felt that, man, for sure. Y'all already know. Y'all gotta give that shit a listen. That shit will hit your motherfucking soul. On the soul
For sure.
train. I'm playing too. So there's this little looming cloud, somewhat, not really, but somewhat. But this looming cloud is the question of: would you rather be independent or under a label?
Yeah. I've been thinking about that a lot recently because it seems like half the industry is like independent now. And at least I saw a stat that said that. I don't know how true that actually is. Um, but if half the industry is independent, like I'm curious how they're doing it on their own, if they just have like a self-sustained like buzz from their following and from like a cult fan base to be able to operate independently. Um, and then like it seems like it's easier for the artists that are signed because they don't have to worry about like the side of music that is the in my opinion is the most draining, which is like the promo and advertisements
Right.
and just kind of constantly having your name out there. Um, and I always told myself that I wanted to stay independent. Um, and like that's what I still want to do. But I was like, I've been recently like, and my boys would probably be like sad that I'm about to say this, but like I've been recently thinking like it might be easier to be under a label and like funded by a label, but like I wouldn't sell my masters. So I don't know if they would even be willing to sign me if I don't give them my masters, you know?
Most definitely.
So I don't really know how that works. Like I don't know if you can sign to a major label and keep your masters. Like if you
I think it
can,
just kind of depends on the label you go to, and it depends. One, you gotta always have a good lawyer with you. But yeah, the label that you can go to, and if what the label has to offer you can work for you, benefit you. You know, there's labels out there that will allow you to keep your masters. There's labels out there that will want a percentage, but it just depends how everything's worked out.
yeah, because I've seen artists like Saba is a great example of somebody that was able to maintain his independence, but I think he was also working. I don't know if he's working with labels or if he's like working with like publishing companies
I feel like
to be
he's
able to still.
close to being with Dreamville. It just
Who?
feels. I feel like he's close to being with Dreamville,
Oh yeah, yeah. I was gonna say like
which is okay
that's what
with
it seems
me.
like. And same with like Mez. I don't know if you listen to Mez, but
Yeah,
like there's like certain artists that are like super Dreamville adjacent, and same with like
Smino.
TDE. Like Kembe X is like super affiliated with
Yeah,
TDE. Um, so it's like some shit like that would be mad cool, but like at the same time, like I'd probably sign to like Dreamville or TDE if I had the option. You know,
yeah.
like
Talking about those labels, I just recently saw a video that talked about some of the best and worst. They say best one is Dreamville right now, especially because of how Cole runs it. And I mean, this is even how I'm, running my platforms and whatnot. I also want to start a label, so I also run it the same way. He doesn't make the artists feel like employees. And other labels, they're like, you're signed, but you also got to do this and this and this and this. So it's like you're an employee. There's certain things required of you as an artist. Versus at Dreamville, he doesn't have that setup to where you don't feel like an employee. You feel like family. And that's how we set this shit up over here like family. Anyone that joins us, anyone that we interview, we want to feel like family. And I feel like that's a core piece that a lot of labels are missing. Even TDE, Like, I feel like they kind of messed up somewhere. Their idea is still there, but it's bumpy road for them right now. Like,
Yeah,
in the
Kendrick
beginning,
left.
yeah, Kendrick. Like, in the beginning, it was J-Rock, Absol, Q, and Kendrick. And the way they
Yeah,
structured them together was like family. But then they
yeah.
started pushing Kendrick shit, so it kind of left and made him like the own, the favorite kid, the favorite child, and that kind of,
And then
it's something you can't do in families because that'll always mess up the family. When you start picking favorites, it messes the whole thing up. You gotta take your
I
time
was gonna
into
say,
every
like,
child part of it.
yeah, and it seems like nowadays, like now that Kendrick's gone, it seems like TDE is just like SZA, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
SZA's
SZA and
like
Q and J Rock and Soul right now that are kind of
and
holding it
Isaiah
up.
Rashad, I guess,
Yeah,
right?
kind of. Yeah, kind of still
But he
holding
just
it.
kind of lays low.
Yeah,
Oh, you know who's dope? That's TDE's. I really like Sir. Um,
his new album was crazy.
I was gonna say I really liked his new album too.
Most definitely.
He's like the one person from TDE that like it seems like he's allowed to just drop whenever he wants. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
everybody else, it seems like they have this like schedule with the drops, but it seems like Sir, like whenever he's ready to drop, they're just like, all right, just drop it. You know, like
right. He definitely is going crazy with that shit, though. I love it. Every bit of
yeah,
it.
Sir's yeah.
Shout out to TDE and Dreamville for so. So, do you do any kind of like vocal training to help you perform better and help you better in the studio?
So I actually don't, but it's funny you mentioned that because I had a friend that was telling me that I should. Like he was like, because I've been trying to sing a lot more recently, and he was saying because I'll when I sing, typically after like a handful of takes, I'll feel like my voice isn't sounding as good as it did initially. Um, so like I kind of can't sing for very long before like my takes start to not sound as good. So like I've been I've been like I'm not even gonna lie and act like I've been looking into it, but like I should be looking into it because I think it would be super beneficial if I did. And the person that records me, shout out Zach Adam. I mean, I have the setup to record myself, but I've been going over to his studio a lot just because I really like his setup. It's a home studio, same type of vibe as what I got, but he kind of pushes me to try new things and to he was the same one that was just telling me recently, he's like, you really should look into doing like vocal training. He said that it's super beneficial, and he said he records other artists that like are pretty adamant about doing it every time. Um,
Right.
so it's definitely something. It's just kind of wild that you brought it up because it's something that has been brought up to me recently as something that I've been advised to do, but I haven't really looked into it yet.
Most definitely, man. So, I mean, I'd say definitely vocal training and breathing, exercises help. I mean, I understand that, even fitness and health play a big part in being an artist with keeping ourselves together, for looks and for just performance wise, on and off stage. So,
Yeah, for sure. And I definitely been like I had gained some weight um like a couple months ago, and so I've been trying to actually lose it and kind of get back to where I've been at, and I feel like I've been able to lose some weight recently, which I've been excited about cuz I definitely I definitely structure like my music so that if I can't rap it in the studio, then I'm not going to put it out. Like I want to be able to like I want to be able to perform these songs the same way that I record them. And so like if I have to do a million punch ins, then I probably like I'm gonna change the syllables or something. You know, like I probably change the way this song gets recorded just to make sure that the live performance doesn't like suffer. You know.
right, most definitely. I gotta remember that now. I definitely gotta We just gave y'all some free game. Come on now. Free game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm big on like the live element, like sounding like good, and I don't typically do like vocal tracks when I perform. Like I typically just play just the instrumental. So like I'm big on like being super coherent and super like and I enunciate like I try to enunciate the best I can so that like the live performance is like the closest thing to the recorded version. But people have actually told me that they like my live shit better than my recorded shit. But like with this latest album, luckily I was able to bring those closer together, because before that people said I was better live, but I think I was able to bridge the gap with the latest shit, so that's good at least.
Most definitely, man. That's always the goal, being able to find the balance and everything.
Exactly.
Good, you know, had a good choice of words.
Yeah.
So we're gonna, you know, obviously kind of narrow this down to a few more questions so we can get this.
Yeah, I was gonna say we
up.
could go a little bit over. We could go a little bit over.
Okay.
We have to.
So, what's your writing process like? Like, yeah, I mean, simple as that. What's your writing process like?
So, I used to just write, and then I would try to find like then I would, if I heard a beat, I would like mold it to what I wrote. But anymore these days, I typically wait until I have the beat. That's what I did with this latest project, Balance. I took a different approach than what I had done like most of my career, which was just write and then make it work later. And with this one, I really wanted it to have a lot of different flows, a lot of different melodies, just a lot more replay value. So like with this latest project, what I did was I kind of catered the writing to the beat and kind of did it more that way, which was different than what I had previously been doing. So, and what I will say is like, I feel like if I don't have anything to write about, and I'm probably not going to be writing. Like I go through spurts where I don't really write much. But like recently I've gone through a lot in my personal life, so I have a ton to write about now, which is awesome. In a weird way, because it's like you don't want to go through a bunch of shit and then be like, oh, I could write now. But like it feels like that is what happens to me. Like I go through a bunch of shit and then I'm like, oh, okay, like I got material for like a new project, you know?
I feel like that's been the core of music. You know, I love those artists that take their time, like Kendrick, Q. Like, I love those artists that they're away from music for so long. For one, they can come back and still make a fucking hit. Congratulations to that, you know. You know, Blue Lips and even Mr. Morale, great hit. They still have that same fan base. They're waiting for them, but that's their thing. Those few years that they're not dropping, they're experiencing life. And when it comes down, you know, one thing I remember Q saying in a recent video with Back on Fig podcast, because, you know, all of them is his homeboys and shit. He said, you know, there's a difference between making an album and a project. Anybody can make an album, 2.5, you know, put a whole bunch of songs together. But a project's more like, it's literally your life pouring into it, you know. And experiences, big experiences and growth put into a project.
Yeah, no, I would say that was what Balance was for me, and it still speaks on a lot of the things that I'm going through, which is pretty crazy because it came out in December of 2022, but like there's still facets of that album that I feel like still currently kind of tell you what I'm going through, because it's like this, I mean, Balance is this endless battle, you know, like no one ever truly has like perfect balance over everything in their life. It's like this never ending journey to try to find that balance. But I think that's part of the reason why this album is probably forever gonna speak to me on a personal level. And the hope is that it would also speak to others. And it's been really cool to hear from like family members and fans and people that have listened to it and related to it, you know, and that's like the main reason I make the music I make and have it be so personal is so that people can relate and connect to it and to help them maybe overcome something that they maybe thought they couldn't overcome, you know, like that's kind of what my journey was with this whole album. So it definitely it was more of a project than an album for sure.
Most definitely. I mean, I'd agree so too. The shit keeps moving. Um, would you say since you started music that the sounds and beats you choose to pair with your lyrics have evolved over time?
Oh, definitely, 100%. Like when I first started making music, I was kind of doing like what Wayne used to do and like what all the mixtape artists used to do, where you would like basically remix like industry beats, you know, and rap over those. Like I used to love like the West Coast. I mean, I still love the West Coast sound. I would rap over like Mustard DJ Mustard beats and stuff. Um, because I was a huge YG fan like back in the
Oh yeah,
day.
I'm still a YG
And like
fan.
oh yeah, I still love YG, but like back in like 2011, 2012, like when those Just Read Up like mixtapes were coming out,
Mm-hmm.
like, the beats on those were crazy. So like I
Man,
remember I rapped on a bunch of those beats, but then I didn't start rapping on like original beats until probably like 2015 or yeah, probably like 2015, 2016. And ever since then it's been more of like I'm a huge fan of the YouTube type beats. Like you could find some amazing instrumentals on YouTube, and honestly, like my whole Project Balance, I'd say I think 6 or 7 of the 8 songs were all from YouTube. They were just YouTube type beats that I bought leases for, like through BeatStars.
yeah,
So I do really love doing that, and I'd say the sound of the instrumentals themselves has definitely evolved, at least for me, based on like who I listen to. Because like there was like since I got hip to like Smino and like Saba and them, like then all of a sudden I'm searching for like Smino type beats, you know, like
mm-hmm.
and and like Monte Booker, like Smino's producer, is like got a crazy sound, you know, and so like I I don't know, like I don't know if I ever would have rapped on a beat like that if I hadn't listened to like as much Smino as I had, you know.
Exactly.
Um, and then same with like artists like West Side Boogie. Like I found some crazy beats just like typing in West Side Boogie type beats, you know. Um, like I think a lot of these newer artists. I also like been trying to get in like my R&B bag, and I was searching like black type beats, um, and or six lack, whatever you want to
There's some
call
dope ass Summer
them.
Walker beats, I'll tell you, and yeah,
Yeah, so it's like, and I have this R&B beat that's like it's a black type beat, and I'm really excited to try to make a song on that. But yeah, I think the sounds have evolved for sure, and just based on who I listen to, it allows my I think sound to evolve even further.
most definitely. I love that. So I've gotten to the point. It's like when it comes down to type beats on YouTube, my kind of goal with it, like I want to use them, and I, at least that, especially in the beginning of my career, but like I want to use those as the template of what I like to hop on. So that way, when it comes down to actually getting with other producers and engineers, they know what I like to hop on, and they can evolve on that, evolve on top of what
Yeah,
you know. And you saw.
no, yeah, that's definitely the move. I mean, like, there's certain artists that like had specific YouTube producers that like they connected with so much so that those producers turned into like those artists like in-house
Yeah.
producers. You know, like you hear stories like that. It's wild. Like I don't know if you ever like this. There's this one hip hop or YouTube producer called like P Soul, and he had like I'm pretty sure X like hopped on one of his beats, and then like I'm imagining his life changed after that, because now when I like see him on like Instagram, like he's posted with like artists that are in the game, you know what I mean? So it's like these YouTube producers are pretty next level. And but I see what you're saying, because I've definitely had producers hit me up and be like, yo, what's your sound? And I'll tell them, I'll be like, listen to my album, and any of the songs from there, like they're all kind of different sounding, but there's a lot to work with there if producers are trying to look for like styles that I'm familiar with, you know.
Exactly. It's all about the growth. Sometimes you gotta get a little creative too when it comes down to searching type beats. I started getting a little creative with it, like not just searching up artist type beats, but I'll start, you know, trying to figure out the instruments and then the way it's played, and then I'll look up the type beat with that, you know.
Yeah, no, it's cool, and you can also even search like moods, you know, and like different BPMs, and there's a lot of cool ways you can go about it to find like exactly what you're looking for.
Right, definitely. So we all have this moment where we just kind of get stuck and don't know where to go. So like, what do you do to get yourself out of that creative block, to get yourself back in the mode to do it again?
So I guess I'm one of those people that like when I'm stuck, I have a really hard time getting out of it. Like I was definitely stuck for probably like 6 months at least. Like I was stuck for way too long. And I just recently got out of it, and honestly, I think it's been a combination of things. Like you got to change your mindset. Like when you're stuck, and this is something that I'm a victim of, so like I'm lucky that I was able to do this, but stuck, you definitely, the worst thing to do is to like stay negative and stay like in it, you know. Like for me, I definitely had to like almost kind of be fake positive just to like convince myself that things are getting better. And then sure enough, I feel like if you surround yourself with like positivity and you kind of preach it to yourself, like it then kind of creates this positive reinforcement in your life. And so like that has really helped me. I also have been doing therapy, just to like have someone to talk to, have a way to get these thoughts off my chest more so than just writing. Sometimes I find when I say things out loud, and I think there's actually some science behind this, but like when you say things out loud and then it goes out your mouth and then you hear it, you like process it a second time. Whereas like if you only thought about it, then you like don't process it as much as when you actually say it. So that's another thing, just like saying things out loud rather than only thinking them, I think is beneficial.
Yeah.
And then I'd say the third thing has been a combination of like exercising and dieting. I think just living a healthier life, kind of like what you put inside your body, I think determines like I think it can affect your mood. I think it can affect your like everyday life. And I had like a really bad diet and I wasn't really exercising much, and I recently changed those things. I mean, my diet's still not like amazing, but it's definitely better than it used to be. So I would attribute all those things to ways that I've been able to escape like what I was stuck in, for sure. And like medication, which is kind of a weird one, but like I was put on like medicine that has helped me recently, but I know that that's like topic that can go either way. You know, sometimes medication is not beneficial, so it's like finding the one that works best for you. But some people are anti-medication, so like that's why I said that last.
Right. So what do you see yourself in 10 years?
10 years, wow. I don't even know where I'm gonna be in like a year.
I felt that,
But
man.
like, but honestly, 10 years from now, the dream would be for music to be like plan A, you know? Because right now, I mean, I want it to be like what I do every day, but navigating the industry and kind of learning about it has made it, I don't know, it's made it like harder for me to see that happening, which is like kind of uh, depressing. But I mean, I was just talking about being positive. I got to be more positive. But ultimately, like I I know that I'm capable of having music be like my job, um, based on the amount of time I've put in and what people like told me about. Like they see the talent, you know. Um, I think the biggest thing for me is just gonna be like, don't give up. Like keep doing it, and I think the hardest thing, at least for me right now, is like, how do I continue to fund it? Because it's definitely an expensive thing when you don't kind of know how to do everything. Like I'm not great at like video editing or engineering or like photography, you know. So like there's certain elements that I think I need to teach myself in order to be able to do this without a lot of funds involved. So I think in 10 years though, if I'm gonna go with my gut, I think I'll be a pretty big artist. You know, I think I'll have at least a couple more albums out, and I think those will speak for themselves. I think you'll see that my journey is just constantly evolving and learning how to better myself given the situation I'm in every time. So I think it'll be like a constant evolution and a constant growth that these albums will speak for. So I'm excited for the future, uh, ultimately, and excited to hopefully live up to the expectations I have for myself.
I agree. Yeah. Now, what would you say has been the best advice given to you? Now, this doesn't have to pertain to just music. It can pertain to life, or a bit of both if you want it.
I mean, my dad used to always say, "Never give up." Like that was his biggest thing. So I think, and I've heard like people like Nipsey say that too. Like the only difference between me and everyone else, like I know that's like a famous Nipsey interview, is like that I never stopped. You know, like I kept going, I kept doing it. Um, and honestly, I think I'm getting close to my 30s, and I think that's what like scares a lot of people, and that's when they stop. You know, um, like for me, like I don't see 30 being any different than like me being 28 right now, or like anything along those lines. Like you see people like I'm pretty sure SZA's like 34. You know, like all those Griselda dudes are like 40. You know, like or like damn near close to 40. That means that they were grinding like all throughout their 30s. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like because they weren't really big until what, like 5 years ago.
Exactly.
So they didn't make it till what, like 35 probably. So it's like to me, I feel like I have all the time in the world, and I'm like making my best music that I've ever made. So like I still got hella years to go before I'll be like, all right, nothing worked out, you know, because it's been working for sure. Um, and then the only other advice that I actually got this advice from Brent Fayez, which is crazy. I got to meet Brent uh, back in like 2017, because Sonder was going on tour at the time, and I got a meet and greet ticket, and I asked him for advice, like what he would say to an aspiring artist, and he was like, "You see what everyone else is doing, you see what's popular, like do the opposite of that." And I thought that was the coolest shit ever because like basically like I wasn't doing the trendy type music at the time, you know, like I was kind of just doing my own thing, like what I wanted to, what type of music I wanted to make, you know, and I'm still kind of doing that. Like I'm not necessarily riding trends. I'm just trying to make music that I would gravitate to, like as a fan.
Y'all gotta start being Miles Morales. Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, bro. So like that was big for me hearing that from him, because that just kind of gave me the reassurance that like I was headed down the right path. And at this point, it's pretty cool. Like I feel like I would listen to my music even if it wasn't like even if it wasn't made by me. Like I feel like I could listen to it like if I was someone else, I'd be a fan of myself, which is I think is really cool.
Okay. So, to you, what is the definition of success?
Success, I mean, I guess like I feel like a lot of people would tell me that I'm already successful, but I think I'm really hard on myself. Um, and I hate to say this, but I feel like in order for me to be like, oh, I was successful as an artist, it would be like, oh, I'm able to fund my life with the music, with the money I'm making from my music. And like, as of right now, I'm not really making any money off of my music. Like, I'm just doing this out of pure love and passion. But like, honestly, what I should have said instead of that is like, and the biggest thing to me, honestly, if this shit never funds my life, like so be it. But like, I think have been successful because I've been able to change the trajectory of other people's lives. Like, there's been fans that have reached out to me about specific songs that they've said, hey, like, this song really helped me when I was like in a bad place, you know? And hearing shit like that is like the most gratifying thing to ever hear as an artist, you know? So like if we're measuring success based on like lives changed, then I'd say like I'm already successful. But obviously the industry looks at it from a dollars perspective, so like that's like the other side of it. But I mean, I don't like to always focus on that because it's kind of negative if you only focus on that, you know?
Right. So we're getting close to wrapping it up. Got a few more questions, but
okay.
So my next question would be, what would you say the best era of music is? And when I say era, if you want to, you can go as far back as Shakespeare or Beethoven and all that shit. You feel me? Or you can bring it up a notch and go to 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, or even now.
I mean, honestly, I'd say if I had to pick, this is tough because I guess I would. I feel like I have to pick like basically from like 2005 to like 2015, like which is like people don't typically like take half of one decade and half of the other, but like for me, like from 2005 to like 2010 is just like all the classics that I grew up on, because like I was born in 95. So like the first like music that like at least hip hop music that I ever listened to was like Eminem and like 50 Cent and like that shit. So like I love Tupac, I love like Nas, and I love like the OG like 90s shit, but like I grew up on like like Mac Miller and Wiz Khalifa and like the Dat Piff era, you know, where it was like mixtapes were the shit, and like it wasn't like the streaming era that it is now.
Yeah.
And so it was like totally different, and things like just started to change around like 2015. And I think that's why I stopped it right there, because like if you look at like the double XL freshman lists, like I used to like collect those magazines. Like 2010 is such a crazy one. It has like J Rock, Wiz, Nipsey.
Crazy.
I'm trying to think of some other names, but then the 2011 one is my favorite, and that one's the one that's got like Kendrick, YG, Mac Miller, Meek Mill,
Yeah.
like, and then I think 2013 was like Bronson and Q and like Joey Badass and Izzy Wright, you know, like a lot of dudes that are just crazy. And so, like, I think I'm trying to bring that mixtape era back, but like it's so hard with the streaming shit now to get samples cleared. Like, I've been thinking about making a project on like SoundCloud only with like hella samples and shit. I think that would be sick, but it's just crazy that it's hard to do shit like that now in the new era.
I agree. Yeah. Definitely hard. So, I mean, we're gonna keep pushing with this shit. We the new faces, man. We're gonna be new faces. I don't know who's gonna be debating who's the next big three, but shit, we all gonna work for it.
Yeah, everybody wants to be a part of that for sure.
Kendrick, give me the torch, my guy. Dr. Dre and the whole West Coast gave you the torch. Give me the torch. I'm next.
Yeah,
it's time for the South. It's time for the South Side to be winning like
that. What is it? What did Andre say? The South got something to say.
Yeah. You ain't lying. Nah, for real. So, what is it like doing shows for you? How do you prepare for that? What is the feeling?
So, you know, it's definitely a lot of, for me, it's like I don't love it, but I need to like rehearse before a show. Like, I need to get my whole set list like figured out perfect in the order that it's in. I gotta like make sure that I remember all the words to all the songs. Like, I can't fucking forget, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll typically practice my set, like, I'd say like for like a show where like I'd say the average show I practice my set like 2 or 3 times. Sometimes when I'm more nervous, I'll do it even more times. But I like to like almost envision myself on stage when I'm practicing, like my stage presence, where my eyes are going, like my cadence, you know, like everything about it I try to prep for. And so I think that's why the shows have gone well for me, is because when I first ever did a show, I didn't prepare at all, and I like super fucked it up. Like my first show ever did not go well at all, and I remember thinking like, damn, I'm never gonna let this happen again, you know? And ever since then, every show I think has gone well, and I pride myself on like how the live shit goes. So I think the method I got going now is definitely like something I'll stick with for sure. And I love doing shows. Like, that's one of my favorite things. I should perform more, but I'm super introverted, so like I'm not always outside as much as I should be.
I mean, yeah,
that's something.
I feel that it's a process to the industry that's like we got to try to break the code where we can still be us and have time to ourselves, but still be able to present ourselves out to the public in a proper way.
Yeah, no, that's like kind of what I've been working on. I've been kind of laying low recently, trying to just be able to pop back out like better than I was before, you know. But it's taken me longer than I wanted it to, you know. But I think it's all part of a bigger plan, so I think I'm optimistic.
Now we got 2 more questions before we close it out.
Okay.
So, if you didn't get the chance to do music, what path would you take?
You know what? I was really good at baseball. So like if my life had gone differently, I think I would have really pursued baseball. Like, I think I would have gone like as far as I could have with it. Because like one of my childhood friends is like on the Astros. Like, he's like a beast. And like I always sit there and I think like, damn, if I went super hard with the baseball shit, like would I be in the MLB? Like, who the hell knows? You know,
gotta
like my
just-
boy made it.
Just to fuck with him, you got to be on the Texas Rangers.
Yeah, he's on he's on the Astros, so that would be hilarious. And it's funny because he was the one that like caught that ball that like was the reason the Phillies like didn't win the World Series. And like I'm from Philly, he's from Philly, you know, so like he like robbed like Philly fans of like a World Series as a person from Philly. It was the most like bittersweet thing because I was happy for him. But I was like, come on, bro. Like,
Right. Last question. So, are there any local artists you want to shout out?
oh yeah, I got a bunch, man. So I got to shout out Jack. Jack the Rhymer is so dope, so talented. Of all the people I know that like deserve to be so much bigger than they are, like Jack is number one on that list. And then shout out my boy Austin Fox, who I met at Virginia Tech. He's on Earl Interlude. Jack's on it, and then Chron 11's on it. Chron 11's my homie. I met him in Philly back in 2019, and we've been homies ever since. Great dude, just a good person. Like at this point, I'm only fucking with people that like I want to be friends with, like in real life. You know what I mean? Like that are just good people. And then I got two more. Rockstar Hardy, he's one of my homies from like day one. Like I've known him. We've been making music together back when his rap name was Prince Prodigy. Now he's Rockstar Hardy. So that's my homie. Had to shout him out. And then last but not least, my boy REEDTHEINFINITE. He's a beast too. Him and Rockstar Hardy are both featured on the song Whistle from my album. So if you want to look into them, they're dope as shit. And then I guess I'll shout out my engineer, Zach Adam. He's a beast.
Yeah.
Dude, he's the reason my shit like sounds next level. Like he did that. So props to him for elevating my sound.
Now, I mean, this closes this out. Y'all already know the drill. Everyone we shouted out on this shit, link in the description. Go check them out. Y'all already know the drill. It's been me, Big T. My boy, motherfucking KFitz. Y'all already know. Like, subscribe, all that hoorah, boo-rah, whatever bullshit you want to call it. You know, support. Y'all already know real big shit coming on the way. We still working on the script for the film we got coming out. Who knows whenever that will come out. We got to one step at a time. All right. We got clothing on the way for Highly Advised Productions. Yeah, we going stupid. We going ham. This boy, this man right here, A-grade music. Go get to it. Get to it.
Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah,
Thank you
sure.
for having me, man.
Real shit, man.
Yeah. I'm trying to keep the balance in middle ground, whatever you wanna call it. Feeling like I got it down. Notice something falling. Pick it up and practice, and the cycle continues. It's like I never truly have it as much as I want it, but I'm still trying, and I know that's what's more important. So as I continue to grow, I'm just moving forward. Some days baby steps, other days giant leaps. Either way it's progression, and that's the human story. Cause they say you can't sleep and gotta grind all night, but when I do that every night, I don't be feeling alright. It's like the passion turns into a fucking chore, and I can't take it no more. I think that shit's all hype, and like I understand I gotta put in work and shit, but when I do it all the time, it don't be worth the shit. It's more like worth the shit.